Hi, I'm Tina Cummins,
I'm Belinda Powers. We are.
your crime sages. I'd like to welcome everybody tonight. Tonight we're talking about Paige Melissa Johnson. She went missing on September 23rd, 2010. Um, Today was the 11th anniversary of the disappearance of Paige. Paige was a 17-year-old girl from Florence, Kentucky. Uh, she went missing and she had went to a party and she was last seen in the company of Jacob Bumpus. Now, Jacob claimed that he had dropped her off at 15th and Scott Street in Covington, Kentucky. And the next day, her mom, Paige's mom, went over to Jacob's house and said, "Where's my daughter?" And she said she knew then that he was involved in her disappearance. She was a beautiful girl. She'd made national headlines, and Paige, her mom, was a friend of mine. Now I used to take her mom to and from work sometimes, and we took my daughter and her kids to the park a few times. So I was very familiar with this little girl when she was little, friends with her mom, and that's when I first got started working on missing person cases. Was because Paige went missing. Now another friend of ours, a mutual friend of ours, he went out on at least 50, maybe even 100 searches with me and others for Paige. We looked everywhere for that child. Um, Paige had a 2-year-old daughter at the time. Um, anyway, Donna knew there was no way that Paige would stay out all night and just leave and not let anybody know what happened to her or where she was or whatever. And so she knew from the beginning that Jacob Bumpus was involved in her disappearance. So the police had cell phone pings, and Jacob claimed that he dropped her off on 15th and Scott Street in Covington. That wasn't true. So they had a cell phone pings in Latonia, Edgewood, out to Florence, and then back down to Covington, and then over to near East Fork Lake in Claremont County, Ohio. So she actually went missing in Kentucky. Well, they found her remains 10 years later in Claremont County, Ohio on March 22nd, 2020. And so, they knew from the beginning that Jacob Bumpus lied to police and that he didn't drop Paige off. And they found her remains within about a mile of where his cell phone last pinged, and he was over there for a good 4 or 5 hours that night. And then, he disappeared down in Kentucky a couple of times, for a couple of days after. They had jailed him on a parole violation for having, I don't know, they found a charge. Let's just say that. They found a charge, kept him locked up for a while, but obviously not good enough. And he's refusing to cooperate. He lawyered up immediately. And so they've been waiting for 11 years for justice. And to be able to bring Paige home. And today, when I was at the vigil, I was talking to Donna and she was in tears. She said she can't take much more. She didn't want to get out of her car, just crying and still so sad because he's caused them so much pain. And, she said she just wants to be able to put her daughter at rest. Well, he was arrested in Claremont County in, I believe, June or July of last year. And they've been waiting for a trial ever since. And they will not let her, they won't release her remains to the family until after the trial. Now, Bumpus was charged with tampering with physical evidence and abuse of a corpse. He hasn't been charged with murder yet. And that's still possibly on the table. but I don't understand why they can't release her remains. Have you ever heard of anything like that?
I have.
Yeah,
I
no,
don't know why they would do that.
yeah. And so,
Maybe we'll have to check into that and see.
and I've
They
never,
have to have a good reason, but
right?
I can't figure out a good reason. And you can have murder trials all day long without a body being present.
And the thing is, you know something happened to her, and I don't want to go into too much detail, but they reported in the news that her remains had been burned. And there's no reason whatsoever for someone to do that unless they're hiding something, you know. So if it's a question of whether or not he killed her, now I'd say take it to trial. And if you can't figure out if it's Kentucky or Ohio, he took a 17-year-old across the state line. That's federal.
Right.
You know, I'm wondering if they can't get federal authorities to prosecute for murder.
Yeah, and we don't know where the investigation's at right now.
No, we don't.
That's probably might have something to do with it.
Yeah.
I can only hope.
Yeah. It's really sad. And, you know, everybody out there, if you could pray for this family, I mean, you know, nothing's going to bring Paige back, but she can be at peace and her family can have some peace, you know, when she's finally brought home. And I'm praying for both. I'm praying for her to come home and for them to get justice. I mean, this man for 11 years has not said a word. How can anybody look at themselves in the mirror? How could you do that? You know, and it's said that he's got a family and a daughter of his own now.
I mean, it's just not fair. I mean, you know, her daughter wants to know what happened to mom.
It's not normal.
It's not.
It's not normal to, how could anybody be so cold? Now, you and I talk a lot about predators. And I don't know if this guy is a predator or not, but it's sure pointing in that direction. And, you know, his silence is deafening. It speaks volumes.
Mhm.
You know, there's been a lot of question whether or not, you know, at this party, maybe she partied too hard or something happened and that along those lines. And I'm saying at this point, I don't see that. You know, I don't think it's fair that he's been out for 11 years and they keep postponing this trial. Now, the trial date just for the two charges that he's only facing 4 years for abuse of a corpse and tampering with physical evidence. I don't understand why this trial keeps getting pushed out. You know, this family needs to have some peace. They need to have answers and they need to have peace. They need to be able
And hopefully, the only thing we can hope for is that they're investigating it for the murder.
yes,
And if that's the case, the best thing to do is wait because they only got one shot at it. So,
right. You can't charge them twice. You can charge them twice. You can't try them twice because of double jeopardy.
right.
So you
So, I
get
mean,
one shot at that. But at this point, I think his silence again speaks volumes, because if it was a matter of her overdosing, he'd have nothing to hide. He'd have nothing to hide.
Right.
Could have taken her to the hospital. He could have, you know, told him where she was a long time ago. And, you know, him not saying anything for 11 years is especially cruel to that family. And I think I speak for a lot of people saying, you know, he had leukemia when I believe it was leukemia. He had cancer in high school. And, you know, he was granted a second chance at life. And he's so cold and callous that he couldn't give that to her. He couldn't give that to her family. He couldn't give them answers. He couldn't give them any kind of, you know, there's no such thing as closure, but, you know, he couldn't give them a hint of peace. And his mom, wretched, defending her baby boy every step of the way.
And you see that a lot,
Yeah.
unfortunately.
I mean, if you want to talk about where a parent goes wrong, ding, 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 ding. Attacking the family, attacking anybody who said anything about her boy. You know, sorry, Linda, your boy's an asshole. And I believe he's guilty of murder.
And it's caused a lot of pain.
And if you don't understand that, you know, then you got problems too. Anyway, it's been a long time coming. Trial's coming up November the 5th, and hopefully it will actually take place. I'm praying that it happens. And I'm praying that, you know, Claremont County gets together quickly because, you know, this family needs to bring her home. So when I ask everybody out there to pray with us for Paige, for Donna, for Brittany, for all her siblings, Araya, you know, her brother, everybody, you know.
Let her get a proper burial.
Exactly. Pray for this family to have some peace. You know, they've been through so much already.
Yeah, I can't imagine.
And it's 11 years later and it's still not over. You know, it's beginning again. It's a very hard position for this family to be in.
Well, from what I experienced, when no matter how long it is, when you find them, it brings it all right back, like it just happened. So for her to have to suffer for 10 years of not knowing, and that's pure hell, and then still suffering today, 2 years later, going on 2 years, it's just not fair. It's not
Yeah, you know, in a couple of days marks the 11th anniversary for finding your daughter as well. And, you know, I'm sorry for your pain. We've talked about it. I don't know what words anybody could say to Donna to make her feel better at this time. But I don't think, you know, I heard people saying to her today that she should feel this way or she should feel that way or she should accept this or that. I
She
don't,
knows what her mind can do.
she knows,
know?
yes, she knows what her heart can handle. And I don't think anybody is in a position to tell a
No
grieving
one has that right.
how to feel.
Nope.
No, that's her baby. And
Yeah, there's no,
well, you know, the people mean well. They're trying to help her get through this. You know, they all mean well.
well, the first thing, the first mistake is they always want to say, well, it's already been 10 years. She should be over it already.
No.
There's no such thing.
And that's what I tell people all the time. There is no such thing as closure. You can get answers. And sometimes the answers, you really wish you didn't have them.
Mhm.
But if you have answers, your mind isn't going 1,000 miles an hour trying to figure out what happened.
So like with me, I'm not taking away from Paige's case at all, but for me, I had to make up my own, because we didn't really know. No, I mean, it's never been
True.
solved. So
Never.
I had to make up my own. I had to make up my own conclusion and say, okay, this is what my heart's willing to accept happened. And then I could start healing from that. But that's total different than knowing something and then bringing up all these raw emotions and all of that with Donna. I mean, I can't understand. I can't put myself in her shoes because I don't know how that is.
Yeah.
But my heart does go out to her and to the family and to Paige's little girl, and it's heart wrenching.
Well, and that's the thing too, Paige's little girl, her family, her daughter's family, and I'm not allowed to mention her name because she's underage, but her daughter's family, that have custody of Paige's daughter won't allow Donna to see her. And it's like a double knife.
No, that's devastating.
It's like a double knife in the chest. First she loses her daughter, then she loses her daughter's daughter. And now she can't put her daughter to rest. And now this asshole won't, for 11 years he's kept silent. I mean, there's a reason God invented hell.
Mm.
He created hell for that reason, for people like that.
So she doesn't get to see her at all.
No. So very seldom. And it's crushing her.
So and yeah.
So unfair. So unfair.
Mm.
Yeah.
I didn't know that.
So, and it's not just unfair to Donna, it's unfair to Paige's siblings. It's unfair to their children, the older ones. It's unfair to all of them.
Well, it's unfair to her daughter that she doesn't get to know the mom's side. That's not fair at all. I mean, because if she's going to learn anything from her about her mom, because she was too little to remember, it's going to be from the mom's side. And that's sad.
And I mean, look, let's face it, families are families. None of us are perfect. But that's her daughter's child.
Yeah.
In my
opinion. Different type of pain.
Yeah. I'm just hoping that, I mean, wow, November 5th, it seems like an eternity. Mm-hmm. It's already seemed, we talked about it before, that time just stops. And it is literally stopped for Donna.
Yeah. Yeah, it's like you're stuck in a time capsule.
Yeah.
It's like that movie Groundhog Day where you just keep on coming back to that same day over and over and over and over.
Well, she said finally when he was arrested, she was finally had a moment of happiness. That had been over 10 years. And she had a moment of happiness thinking that she was going to get justice. And here it is a year and a half later. And, still in the works. And I'm sorry, but I don't think 4 years in jail is enough. Not after what she's been through, not after what that family's been, not after losing her daughter. 4 years is not enough. It's not enough time. And anybody who is hiding or covering up for these people, I got news for you. There is a hell. How can you sleep at night? I don't understand it.
I don't know. I'm gonna go back with me. I don't know what I would have done. I don't know how I would have reacted if they would have told me that I couldn't have my daughter's remains. I don't know how I would. I don't think I could have handled that.
Yeah.
Personally, me, there's no way. I think I would have.
I think I'd be camped outside there.
I would have gotten in trouble. I'm afraid to say.
But that's not going to do Donna any good. And
No, but in that mindset, no,
right. I
the,
hear.
the difference is Donna had to wait 10 years of hell
Mhm,
to get Paige back.
mhm.
Me, mine was 25 days. Mine, I wasn't in the right mindset then. So I couldn't imagine if they would have told me that I would have flipped out. I would have been completely, I would have flipped out.
You
But
know,
that's why God knows what you can handle. And, you know,
I remember when, Donna had the kids and, even then Paige was the light in her eyes. She loved that kid. Yeah, she loved her kids. I mean, I remember we took them to the park and, we were all swinging. We were playing on the monkey bar. She's like, get up there. My old ass is up on the damn monkey bars. And I'm like, I'm too old for this shit. But yeah, the kids had a good time.
Mhm.
They always had fun. I don't know. I remember they were little and I was taking Donna home from work one night and them falling asleep in the back of the car. And you know how little kids are. You put them in a car and they're out.
No, it's just so unfair what these families go through.
It is. And then, we talk about that a lot when someone goes missing and the not knowing. And so imagine, who did something to your daughter, but there's no real charge yet. You know your daughter's gone, but you can't bury her. It's like that time capsule for her is even worse than what most people go through.
Exactly.
Even worse hell.
That's what I'm saying. You know, I couldn't imagine in the state of mind that I was in 25 days. Lord knows I couldn't have handled it any longer. I was ready to break.
Yeah.
I was literally ready to break. 25 days was all I could handle.
It's heartbreaking. It when I see her, I go to vigils and occasionally talk to her on Facebook or whatever, but it's heartbreaking.
It
And
is.
with you, you were able to put your daughter to rest and she's on the other side and
Yeah, that's why I can't even fathom all of that.
and that's not to diminish your loss either.
No, but I can't. I couldn't handle it. There's no way. I'd have laid down and I'd have been done.
Yeah.
You do whatever you have to do, but I can't foresee me recovering for that long. There's no way.
All right, folks. Well, I think we're going to about wrap it up for tonight, but please keep Donna Johnson and Paige Johnson, their family, in your prayers. Pray for justice and pray for her to be able to bring her daughter home. In Jesus' name we pray. Good night, folks.
And